Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's Impact Motivator CL King coming to you live from the High Definition Studios here at Impactville. And I happen to be the sheriff of Impactville. Now, let me just tell you, we are here tonight for a very, very special reason. It's not often that guests get the opportunity to come back on this show. Not because we think we are so much greater and nobody, you know what I mean, that we can't have a guest repeat. But because there is such a line of folks trying to get on that we're trying to get everybody in. But there are those few rare occasions where we connect with someone so dynamically that we say, man, we've got to have you back. And this is one of those occasions. You guys know that we changed our show time from 8:30 to 7 so you old folks could stay up and watch the show live. And for those of you that download it, you know it comes out the same night anyway. My guest tonight is a repeat guest. You might remember him when we were discussing this amazing book that I now have in my hands, ladies and gentlemen, The Golden Quest, a journey to a rich life. And it's an illustrated book that he takes you through this journey of a young person going through a whole bunch of things. I'm going to let him explain it tonight. But David Delisle was on our show, it seems like 7 years ago, and it was just a half a year ago, where we were discussing how he had took a principle of financial understanding and appreciation through his background, training and teaching his sons and kids to do this, and said, you know what, we need to put this in something that is tangible and digestible for moms and dads around the country and kids around the world. And so I said, David, that is such a brilliant idea that we really got to do everything we can to let moms and dads know about it. And he said, listen, the book's coming out. And now that the book is out, guess who has it in their hands? See, I have the book in my hands, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fun way to learn about money. The Golden Quest is a graphic novel about a young boy who embarks on a hero's journey through his dog Shelby to discover the golden rules of money. David's going to tell us in our 30 minutes flyby that there are rules to money. So welcome, put your hands together and welcome with me, David Delisle, to the Impact Motivator Show, Impacting Life 24/7. Welcome, David.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be back here. It has been a while, so excited to see you again.
Man, it's so good to see you. And when Greg told me that we needed to hook up, I said, man, let's get him back. Now, let me tell our audience that I'm giving away, based off of David's gratitude and graciousness, we're giving away 3 or 4 of the books tonight live on the show. And so if you would like one of those, we want you to comment in the chat box below that you would like one of the books. And also, don't worry, we'll keep going. And also, we're going to quiz you on a few things to maybe see if we can make it a little more difficult for you. So, David, please tell us where you're from and how things are going in your part of the world.
Yeah, so I'm in Victoria, BC, on the west coast of Canada. So things are things are starting to get back to normal, which is nice. Weather's changing. I've actually got planned a big beach camping trip later this week with my oldest son. So things are starting to look good again, which is nice. But
yeah, you guys were kind of on an extreme lockdown for a while, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty tight. I mean, we're lucky because we're, like I mentioned, an island, but it's a big island. I mean, it's, tip to tip, it's almost the length of the UK on a map. So it's a big island, but just being on an island, we were a little bit more just isolated in itself from that, which was nice, and had some stuff to explore. But yeah, I went a few years without leaving this little area. I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah, and we were facing that same thing here, in the 2020 time frame. But British Columbia in that area is beautiful. Listen, if you would like, Greg says he's from Danville, Virginia, which is God only knows where that's at. Listen, if you would like
It's
a
nowhere near
copy,
the West Coast.
nowhere. If you like a copy for us, we'll ship it out to you free of charge. It'll all be on the Impact Motivators dime. If you like a copy of The Golden Quest, A Journey to a Rich Life, there's something I'm going to ask you to do. If you can type in, the first person that can type in the chat box, the 5 Great Lakes, just very simple. You can even Google it, okay? I'm gonna tell you, I know it's the keyword homes. I'm giving you a little hint right there. The first person that types in the 5 Great Lakes, we will ship this off to you free of charge. Nothing, no obligation. But I want you to also go and connect with David Delisle. Where can people find you, David? Because we're going to send a bunch of people your way.
The best place to get in contact with me is theawesomestuff.com. So
Awesomestuff.com.
the awesomestuff.com. And really, because that's what I'm trying to build a movement around, is this idea of the awesome stuff and what's really important to you.
Go ahead.
That's the best place. I mean, you can find the book on Amazon. I'm working with, chapters of Barnes and Noble and everyone to get it in bookstores as well. But in terms of just getting in contact with me, and if you want to order directly through me or get into my community or contact me, theawesomestuff.com.
Greg said he typed it in already, and you're not allowed to answer, Greg, because you already have your cadre of books, okay? So you can't answer, brother. But the first person that answers in our live chat that can tell us what the 5 Great Lakes are, we will send you a copy of The Golden Quest. Now, give us a little bit of background, David. Christine says Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Is she right, David?
That sounds like it's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because keyword homes, H-O-M-E. You got it. Yes. Well, Christine, congratulations. You're getting a copy of The Golden Quest. And in fact, I'm going to be in your area this weekend, Christine, or the end of this week. So I'm going to hand deliver you this copy. So I'll save myself a little bit on shipping. How about that, David?
Okay, should have been the first rule.
That should be the first rule. So anyway, Christine, congratulations. And I'm going to have a question next for the next person that wants to get a free copy of David Delisle's book. It's called The Golden Quest. We've had him on before. We had him on before the book was in print, ladies and gentlemen. And now he persevered through COVID and all these things to get this book out. Tell us, David, what was the genesis? Because we all see the end state. We all see the current state. But tell us the genesis. What inspired you to start this book, David?
So that's where it gets pretty fun. Like the journey, I wasn't planning on being an author. I just wanted to come up with some lessons for my boys. So they're 13 and 10 now. But at the time, I've been on this journey for the last 3 years. So they're a little bit younger. And I thought, what are some things I want to leave behind for them? Just, if something unforeseen happened, what are some lessons?
Right.
And what I found kept coming up was this theme around money, because I look at my views on money are a little bit different than the norm. And I really want to take away that stress from them that lots of us have around finance and money. Right. So it just started becoming just a bunch of lessons I wanted to pass on to them. But it was boring. It was boring, CL, and it was just a list of lessons. And I knew that, but it was for my kids. So I was like, you're going to read it anyway. But what has happened is I was volunteering at my son's library at their school and watching all these kids reading these graphic novels, and just how much they loved them and they're just gravitating towards them, but also how much they've evolved from like when we were young kids. They're not comic books anymore. I mean, these are like amazing stories that can take these complex ideas and just simplify them. And in that moment, it was almost instantaneous. I immediately saw all these lessons being taught in this fun adventure with a little boy going out with his dog and just learning these in the classic, hero's journey, like you'd think of like Star Wars or anything else, where it starts with this adventure and you see the whole story arc where he meets different mentors along the way and gets to the very end and, doesn't quite become a Jedi, but learn
I
something.
often think when I peruse through your book, because I have it in my hands, ladies and gentlemen. I think of the never ending story. I kind of think of Calvin and Hobbes. You know what I mean? It just takes you to a different place, and the journey is so fun. As opposed to, like you say, we're going to sit down and we're going to get a check ledger and show our kids how to balance a checkbook, baby. It's no fun. And if that's one thing that I struggle with in our education system, is that we do a bunch of checks in the box, but we don't really appeal to the inner child, or you know what I mean, the emotional piece of learning. And so my second question for those who would like to get your free copy, I already got one already in the hot seat ready to go. One is already one. I'm giving away another one. David Delisle, A Fun Way to Learn About Money. The book is called The Golden Quest: Your Journey to a Rich Life. And if you'd like to connect with him, go to theawesomestuff.com. Now, here's my next question. You ready for the next quiz question, Dave?
I'm ready. Is it Canadian themed?
No, but we will let you do a Canadian theme. Okay. So get you a Canadian themed question next, okay? But I got to give an American themed question first. What is the highest mountain in the world? What is the highest mountain in the world? As you guys know, who have followed me for some time, I have spoken about this mountain and given keynote addresses about this mountain, staff developments about this mountain. So y'all should have heard it by now. You should have been paying attention and listening to my speeches. So what is the highest mountain in the world? And then I'll test you to see if you know how high it is. So David, you took it from a personal experience that you wanted to leave something that, and that's the thing. Let's just pause here for a rabbit trail, because when you talk about why we write books, right? Remember we were talking about the whole journey of writing a book in the pre-show. I have discovered that I think the main reason why I'm writing my book is to leave some breadcrumbs for my kids, you know what I mean, from my legacy, my grandkids, etc. And that's important, that we teach our kids the principles and get them to understand the things that maybe came hard to us. And so when you were writing this, how difficult was it for you to put all of this in a format that the young minds could understand?
It was tricky. So I love that you mentioned earlier about that Calvin and Hobbes style, because that is exactly what I was going for. And that's where Travis Hansen, the illustrator, just does these beautiful illustrations. And I came across, it took me a long time to find someone with that right imagery. And what I found is, I mean, the trick about this, it is to some extent a book about money. And so as soon as people hear about that, a lot of times I find they dismiss it, because we've seen these kids' books that try to teach a lesson and they're just not fun and they're not engaging.
Right.
And so trying to bring it all back to make this a fun adventure, but like you're not being taught. So, I mean, what was really tricky is trying to take these ideas that I could rattle off over 5 or 10 minutes and explain, and have just a single page or a single cell distill it to that one small point.
Yeah.
But that's where I started getting more and more passionate about it, because when I could nail that well, then a 5-year-old could get the message. Yeah. And I talked to these parents and their 5-year-olds get it. And you could see how it just lands. Like when it's pure and it's simple, there is no complexity. It just lands. And then as you get older, so adults, they approach the book differently, teenagers, high school grads, depending on where you are in your life, you'll pick up something different, because the message, if the seed is there, then it extrapolates out and it can meet you where you need to be met. And so that's the beauty. But there was a lot of going back and forth, that dialogue and changing it. And even when I had the illustrations drawn, I'd go back to Travis. I'm like, okay, I love, like, we can't change those images, but I'm going to change some of these little word bubbles, because I want to there's something I want to squeeze in there that maybe wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Just, a subtle little breadcrumb or seed that someone might pick up on if they read it again.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined in the virtual studios all the way up there in Canada. He's joining us live here in the virtual studios of Impacting Life 24/7, and I'm ready to give one of these books away, The Golden Quest, A Journey to a Rich Life. This is an amazing journey that you can take with your children or you can take with yourself, but you got to be able to answer this question if you want to get this book free from these studios, and compliments of Mr. David Delisle. What is the highest mountain in the world? Come on, guys. There's this thing called Google. All you got to do is Google it. Okay, I want to see some responses. Greg, tell these people to respond. It's very simple. The highest mountain in the world. The lessons are universal and will teach children of all ages the secret to a rich life. Your journey awaits. So when we talk about the awesome stuff, tell us the forensics behind that thought.
So this is where, I mean, a lot of the book, just the way it's packaged, the lessons, and for kids, very unique, and it's what we need to teach our kids and start beginning this journey. But the reason I was mentioning to you earlier, where I'm trying to create a movement around this idea of the awesome stuff, is that's slightly unique. So right now, if we think about money, almost everything we've ever learned about is how to have more, how to have more. And there's nothing wrong with how to have more. And that's in the book and part of it as well. But it's the only lesson we've learned. So with that being the only lesson, it doesn't matter how much we have. We're just constantly, as soon as we get to any point, then we're asking ourselves, okay, well, what's the next step? What's the next step? And all we know is how to have more. Mm-hmm. If we get back to the awesome stuff, that's where this whole dialogue changes. So before we learn how to have more, the lesson that we haven't been teaching our kids and ourselves is why we want the money in the first place. What is our awesome stuff? What's important to us? And that's the whole idea with that first lesson, only buy the awesome stuff. And it's beautiful in the way that, as I was mentioning, that's a seed of an idea. So in the book, it's talking about the awesome stuff in terms of what you want to buy or experiences you want to have. And it's all around associated with this idea of money. But it extrapolates out into, you know, your work, your friendships, your passions, everything. It's just that awareness of asking, like, what is important to you? And as well, that you is really important, not what's important to everyone, you as an individual. So there is no, you know, right or wrong. It's just for you individually, what's your awesome stuff.
So let me see if I can conceptualize this, because as you know, ladies and gentlemen, I am just a speaker. That is really the only talent I have. Let's say a young person is saying, I want to go and get the new Jordan 1s, right? So they're going to cut some grass and they got $200 or $300 in their pocket. But then along the line, they realize, I actually wanted to get my first car. Is that the contrast between just buying something cool and then buying something awesome?
So
help me understand.
That's where a lot of us are at. We're thinking, you know, wants versus needs, or what's really important, or is it something frivolous where you're just going to forget about it, or it's going to go on a shelf and you're not going to use it. So we start thinking along those dialogues.
Right.
And that's some of it. But I think you remember, like from our last show, when we talked about like your awesome stuff, what I find is a bigger sort of key component of it.
Yeah.
Is how your body reacts when you talk about the awesome stuff.
Ah, there we go.
And that's the awareness piece. So you can feel like, I mean, I'm not a shoe guy, but I know people that are shoe guys, and they will tell you the shoe, they will stand in line, they'll look at it, and it'll bring them so much joy that you just ask them about these things and their eyes light up, they start smiling, they're animated. And even though I'm not a shoe guy, you're going to make me into a shoe guy just because you're so passionate and excited. That's your awesome stuff. But if you're like, if you're just like, you know what, I want these shoes because they're expensive and all my friends have them, but I don't really like, you know, it's the body language. You can feel it in your body. And that's where it gets exciting, is when you recognize that in your body, that awareness, then you can start asking yourself, do I feel that when I'm thinking about this? And if you're not,
it's not the awesome stuff. I love it.
Awesome
this
stuff.
Goes with, you see, this is why we need to go on tour together, Dave. I've gotten the studio, virtual studios here, Dave. Delisle. And if you like a free copy of his book, I'm giving it away, free shipping. That's why I asked you, Colton, what is the highest mountain in the world? If you can answer that question, I'll send you a free copy of his book to include shipping and handling. But I say that in my training called GEAR, GEAR, David. And the G stands for gifts, right? And here's what I tell young people. That when I get up and do what I do, it makes me feel like Christmas morning every single time. I've given over nearly 400 speeches around the globe, and every single one, whether it's 8 kids or 8,000, it feels like a gift to me. Not that I'm using my gift, but it feels like a blessing to me. You follow what I'm saying, David? And so what you're saying is the awesome stuff is that thing that we really truly feel passionate about, the thing that really changes our emotional state, huh?
Exactly. And that's when you feel that, if you're doing that stuff, you're not thinking about what you don't have or what you wish you had,
right.
Or if you only had more, because you're enjoying life and the moment and the journey. It's not if I only got to this point, or if I only had this much, or if I only could do this.
Right.
No, you're right in it. And that's where it gets really exciting. And that's why I call it a journey, because we think of money and retirement as a destination. And it's like, I'm going to just have this miserable life until I get there. And I'm just going to do everything I can to get there. And once I get there, my life is good. That's not how it works. It's a journey.
Yeah,
it's a journey.
And Colton answered the question right. I asked what was the highest mountain in the world for him to get a free copy of The Golden Quest. I have one right here still in the cellophane. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you, Colton. Just DM me your address. And we will get that to you. Colton is out there in Colorado, and my son actually plays in Colton's band at their church. And so my son plays in the Army band, as you guys know, and Colton has now become an extension of our family. But I didn't sneak him the answer. So congratulations, Colton. You get a copy of The Golden Quest. We have another one that we want to give away. I'm not giving them all away because I said I'm greedy. I want some for myself. You got a Canadian question there, David? Don't make it too hard. Now, I gave him some easy ones. I gave him some softball questions.
You did give him some softballs. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. Which because it's recent. There's a hint. What day do we celebrate Canada Day?
Okay, so if you want a free copy, that I don't even know this one. So
you might have to Google it.
I'm gonna have to Google it right here on the screen. But which day do we celebrate Canada Day on? And congratulations to Colton. And really appreciate you, Colton May. But yeah, check out when you can find this, where you can find this answer at. All you got to do is go to Google, just start typing, what day do we celebrate Canada Day on? If you get it right and you answer it live in the chat box, we will send you a free, totally unwrapped copy of The Golden Quest. And this book is true. When I say it's well put together, I'm almost thinking about just not doing my book now, because David, you have set the standard so high. It's like, this is my little piddly book over here. This is like the way you're supposed to do it. And let me just ask you about kind of the thought process behind your packaging and presentation. You wanted to do it well the first time, huh?
Yeah, well, I've loved talking about money and getting into the weeds of this stuff because I was a nerdy finance kid.
Yeah.
But I found you talk to people, their eyes gloss over, they're not interested. They don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is how do I write something where people just get excited? It's easy. A 5-year-old can get it, but a teenager as well. Like, I'd love to hear what Colton has to say after he reads it, because it really is geared towards adults, but I'm trying to trick the adults into reading it to their kids to learn the lessons. And with the packaging, I just wanted something that was really fun. So if you notice, even something simple like the end sheets, when you open it, you can see a map of the quest. So the kids can sort of almost follow the adventure as they go along and have that imagery. But I will say Travis Hansen. So he's the illustrator, and he's produced a lot of his own books. And I really leaned on him for even just the format, because I was thinking a standard, paperback shaped graphic novel.
Right.
And he loved this larger format because he could picture the visual. So if you open it up, you could see there's occasionally these large 2-page spreads where you could see these beautiful visuals. And he knew that if we try to do it at a paperback, it just wouldn't come across. So that was
Right.
his idea. And to be honest, CL, I was nervous until I saw it in my hands 3 years later. The whole time of the process, did I pick the right format? Was this the right dimensions? And seeing it, I'm so happy that we did it the way we did, because it's the visuals that carry it for sure. So
Yeah, and we got somebody already responded. I'm sorry for those of you who responded late, but we'll just test to see if the man from Canada is the judge, if she got it right. There's a lady on here named Kimberly Burke, and she said that it's July 1st. Is that correct?
It is. It is. That's what I'm saying. We just celebrated it just before you guys, just snuck in there.
So Kimberly Burke, congratulations! You get, I would say autographed copy, but you can't be here and there. But you get your free copy, unopened copy of The Golden Quest: A Journey to a Rich Life. I'm gonna sit this over here to the side, and we'll send it out to you free of charge. All you gotta do is just send us your address, and don't worry, we won't show up to your house. We'll just ship it to you. So. This is going back here. That's remaining in the high definition studios here at Impacting Life 24/7. And let me put it where it was supposed to be. Should be right here. Everything's reversed. So I'm looking at the camera over here, and I'm like, wait a minute. Let me get my brain together. David, this has been a 3-year journey, and our time has just flown by. You see how cool it is when you're with a friend, man. I want you guys to rest assured and relax. You can go find David at theawesomestuff.com, theawesomestuff.com. I'm going to ask probably one more question. So Kimberly, make sure to send me your address. We'll get that to you in the mail. I'm going to ask you, you ready for this, David? What are the 4 notable faces on Mount Rushmore?
Ooh.
What are the 4 notable faces on Mount Rushmore? And I didn't rehearse this, guys. I'm the master of the 2-minute drill. And so we got one more for you. And I'm going to extend the time because David is a friend and he's such an excellent, excellent guest. The 4 faces on Mount Rushmore. When you think about, let's say someone picked this book up, David. Now here's an author's question. What, after reading it, would you like them to walk away with?
So this isn't mentioned in the book, and it's a little bit different. This is more like my sort of sneaky wish. But for me, the goal, I would love that after you read it and follow some of these rules and lessons, what happens is, instead of thinking about money all the time and it being top of mind, money stops being a factor in your decisions. It just becomes something where the habits take over, you're not even thinking about it, and money just almost ceases to be top of mind. That would be the goal.
That's good. And I will say this, I mean, as all you guys know, I'm extremely wealthy out there. But I have, in my later years, David, especially now that my kids are all gone, I got one last senior of my 7 kids. Like, the experiences in life with Charity and I are so important that the money to experience them is not an issue. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's more about the experience than the cost of it, And I hope I'm not violating the theology here, but I'm appreciating the fact that I'm in a stage in life where I'm not going back there getting my Culligan jar, shaking out quarters to go stay at the Motel 6 to do something, together with my wife. It is like, hey man, we don't ask how much it costs. We just say, look, we're going to go do it, and that's really where I feel like, man, there's no stress and we really absorb those experiences. Am I off base, or do you think I'm on the right track?
No, that's exactly it. And so if you think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like there's the basic safety needs, and you need all those needs. And so following some of these habits, they will set you up over time to have that savings and that freedom. And as well, again, when I say it's a journey, it's not like you have to hit a certain point. The closer you get to that or along that journey, the more freedom you're going to have. So that's a part of it. But even if you accumulate, immense wealth, we see that even with our millionaires and billionaires, if you don't, if you're still seeking more, you'll never have enough, and you're always trying to grow that wealth.
That's true.
And so there's a piece of it is really knowing what is your awesome stuff and what's important to you, and what are the habits so you get out of, paycheck to paycheck, and out of that, those basic needs. And then all that combined, then you're just on this journey doing what you love. As you mentioned, I mean, you could always have more, but it's not something, now that you've reached a point where you're comfortable, that's not a factor anymore.
Right.
And unless you sort of have that self-awareness of what's important to you, it always will be a factor. And so that's why I'm trying to have more of this holistic approach where it's mindset and habits, so that it isn't something that you're stressed about and thinking about and feeling insecure about.
That's powerful. Now let's just deal with the second part. I'm going to ask this question one more time, guys. We're giving you 5 more minutes. I'm going to give away this book. This is an amazing book, The Golden Quest, The Journey to a Rich Life. If you miss it and you're watching the replay, go to theawesomestuff.com and you can get your book there. You can also, there's other places that you list on your website where they can get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could buy it on the website. If you go to Amazon.com, you can get it. If you go into a bookstore and request it, they can get it. I mean, I made sure that I've got the distributor chain there, so it can get into libraries, it can get into schools, it can get anywhere. But the main source for me is theawesomestuff.com.
Yeah, theawesomestuff.com. I'm saving one for myself because the next school that I go to, I'm probably going to give one away to one of the teachers there. Because as you guys know, we've spoken in hundreds of schools across the country. And I really do. What really intrigued me because we have had almost 300 guests on this show. What really intrigued me to David Delisle, the author of The Golden Quest, is his approach to helping us understand, appreciate, and handle money. Because all the other approaches, I'll just be honest with you, all the other approaches that I've seen were just like, I wasn't understanding them. They were dry. It was dry as a powder keg. And this is a fresh, new approach because he made it into a journey instead of just a bunch of operations. Am I right there?
Exactly. And I'd love if you got that into the school. I mean, I'm working right now with a few various teachers trying to build out lesson plans around this, that they can, walk through the students and teach this stuff, because it needs to be taught in the schools. And you can tease out so much of it, because it's not just about money. There's mindfulness, there's giving and charity, there's intentionalism, there's, awareness. And so there's all these other pieces that we can build lesson plans around. And so I'm working with some talented teachers right now to hopefully come up with some of those lesson plans that we can introduce to the schools.
That's powerful. So the last question that I'm giving you for the day, this is one last book, guys. I'm just telling you now. So it is, what are the 4 notable faces on Mount Rushmore? And if you all paid attention in history class, you should know that. We just celebrated Independence Day, so come on. The 4 notable faces on Mount Rushmore. And David, now that you have completed this work and you're really building to create a movement around it, what I told David was, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, I told David that we're going to have him back quarterly on the show. And maybe what we'll do is just maybe take some excerpts out of the book and deal with that during the show, because I understand this, that sometimes, I mean, I go to places, I think I give this amazing keynote speech, and then I go back and I ask the students, yo, what was the title of my speech? And they'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, man, we rocked the house. I was jumping off the stage. My veins were popping out of my neck. You don't remember? No. And so, but then I go to a school where I went several times and did a series, like my Don't Drop the Hammer series. Those kids who are now graduated still message me and say, don't drop the hammer. You see what I'm saying? And so sometimes we need to do things more than once and get the message out more than once. And so with the last minute, if you chime in, you get a free copy of The Golden Quest, Your Journey to a Rich Life. Now, before we go, David, do you see a sequel to this? Because this is so rich and so powerful. I'm wondering if you see a sequel in the future to The Golden Quest.
It's so funny. Everyone's been asking about a sequel, and you're going to find this
right?
as well. See, you'll get your book out there, and you're like, I just want to get this book, and
right?
this momentum and this movement. And the first thing people ask is, so when's the next book? So we'll see. But for now, I really want to plant those seeds, and what I would love, because like I just want to get that awareness out there. So once I can build that momentum and I get people carrying it and they get excited about it and they start talking about the awesome stuff and they start spreading it, then I can move to the next thing. I don't need to be attached to this. I just need to be that driving force to get the message out. And once the message is out and it's got momentum, then yes, we move on to the next thing. So
yeah, and that's powerful. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you have been with us. I'm telling you, I know we shortened our show time to 30 minutes, guys, but I haven't done a 30-minute show yet because it's just so amazing to deal with, to have such an amazing person, number one, and having a thought to help us with something that is so important. You can go to that's the letters THE, theawesomestuff.com. and get your copy of the book. You ain't gonna get it here no more after tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But this is The Golden Quest, Your Journey to a Rich Life. Now, David, we have gone, when we met, we were headlong into the pandemic. And we're on the other side of the pandemic, but we're not on the other side of financial, flourishments, I looked at a box of hamburgers that I bought for the 4th of July. They were $27. They used to be $16. Right? The 100% beef hamburgers. I wasn't buying the cheap stuff, y'all. And so times have changed. Gas, obviously $5 a gallon. So when you couple where we are with your book and the necessity of it, I want you to close out our show with giving a message to those who may be like, in the throes of financial uncertainty and how this book can help them. Dave, the floor is yours.
It's the journey. So the awesome stuff I stretch because that's mindset. But the first habit is just around saving. And it's saving first and making that a habit. So wherever you are, if you get into that habit where it's automated, so not budgeting, not trying to, work your way out of it, just automatically everything that comes in, a percentage is just saved. That with investing over time will compound and slowly get you that freedom so you have a little bit more space. And I think that's the thing is we've realized over this pandemic is having a little bit more space is so important because a lot of us have been stuck. We've had no choices and we've had no options. But if we just had a little bit more space and a little bit more freedom, it would. And it takes time. So start today, and it'll be easier than you think it will. It'll be easier than you think it's going to be. It's just developing that habit like anything. And once it's a habit, when I mentioned forgetting about the stuff, once it's a habit, you will forget that you're even doing it, especially if you automate the whole process.
Yeah, that's good. Automating is powerful. Most of my bills are automated, so whether I got the money or not, they coming to get it.
Well, your taxes are automatically taken. If you looked at how much you paid in your taxes, most of us would just, it would be insane. There's no way we'd be able to budget and save that, but the government just takes it automatically. And so if you view your savings the same way, you will definitely get on that path to financial freedom.
I'm just a purist, and I'm not going to leave a question out there. Dave, Kimberly, who won one of your books, she said, "What nowadays are the best investments?" And I know that can be subjective, and it's a big, there's everybody's got their opinion, but for somebody just starting out, what would you give them advice on?
So with the book, that's where I find when people hear about finance and investing, what throws them off is it's so complex and there's so many ways you can look at it.
Right.
And everybody, even the smartest advisors, are going to get it wrong or disagree. So in the book, rather than trying to teach those ideas, I try to teach the idea of reaching out, finding a financial advisor, and getting advice from someone. You don't need to have all the answers, and have someone who you can trust. But realistically, I mean, instead of trying to bet on which stock's going to outperform which, invest in the entire stock market. I mean, that's what Warren Buffett recommends his estate do. Invest in the entire stock market. Don't try to guess. And then if you're averaging on your way in when it's going down, and averaging on your way out when it's going up or down, you're just averaging that out over time. That's the best way to beat the market. It's just average it out. I mean,
that's right.
Buy the entire market over time.
My mentor told me, put it in there and swear off of it. That's what he told me. So thank you, Kimberly, for such a great question. And Greg's got $3 or $4 million in the bank, so he's been riding the averages the whole time. I pay him, but he should be paying me, Anyway, Dave, it's been a phenomenal opportunity. You got the link to schedule yourself, so just go ahead and schedule yourself for the next quarter out. And just get on the calendar, and we'll have you back. Maybe we'll do a question and answer kind of thing like it's morphing into tonight. Maybe have some more books, get some signed books away, and just talk more about finances and the journey. You have done really a remarkable job with this book, man. I am impressed. I'm thinking about scrapping my whole project and just calling it The Golden Course.
We'll throw you at a
I'll just get, if I could just get a chapter in there, then I'll just ride that bad boy on out. But no, my book is, as I was telling you guys, I have had different struggles with my book, but we're in the last of the last days of finishing the manuscript. And then obviously there's all the other things associated with it, but I'm excited, and talking to someone who's gone through it over 3 years when I'm trying to do it in 7 months. It's pretty inspiring. David, you are truly a voice of steadiness, and we look forward to having you back on Impact Life 24/7. Okay, sir?
For sure. It's the best show to be on.
That's where I'm going to, Ray, we're going to capture that part right there, buddy. I'm going to use that in a clip, baby.
That's my review, short and sweet.
So listen, thank you so much, David. We appreciate it. Have a great day, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right.